Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Spots on behalf of the Dalles Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the Chamber's Community Affairs. Our guest this morning, September 11th, a notable date, September 11th, is Rob Garrett, Executive Director of Mid-Columbia Senior Center. Rob is going to tell us all about the center's fascinating history and what's coming up and what's going on. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started with introductions and updates around the table. And I'm going to start my upper right-hand corner with Mr. Jacob Anderson.
Good morning. This is Jacob Anderson, the Economic Development Officer for the City of the Dalles.
Any updates, Jake?
I'm just working on a few grant applications for downtown revitalization projects.
Great. Thank you. Corliss Marsh.
Morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh. I'm with Habitat for Humanity and the library and also the Senior Center. Coming up this weekend is a golf tournament for the College Foundation, and I'll be there Saturday morning in Hood River. And then next week, on a Sunday afternoon, we're opening the Makerspace. We're having an open house for the Makerspace. And the Makerspace is a place where craftspeople and artisans can gather and do their craft. And it's a woman had donated a little ranchette out on Browns Creek that we're going to have it. So I'm headed out there this morning right after this to go help clean up. So we'll be having open house on September 21 at 3 o'clock. You'll see ads for it.
Thank you,
That's
Corliss. Corliss, would you like to put the address of the Makerspace, if appropriate, in the chat box?
I will next week. I don't have it. I mean, I'm not in charge. I'm just one of the worker bees. So yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll have to find out the exact address.
Sounds fascinating. Okay. Good luck. Thank you, Corliss. Mr. Scott McKay.
Good morning, Dan and everyone. Scott McKay. I am currently a volunteer for Circles of Care. I no longer work for Circles of Care, but we're continuing the program until we're kind of in transition right now, looking for either organization to assume the program or find another person to take my place at Circles of Care. But we're still continuing to support the individuals we have been for the last, several years, but we're not taking on any new members for Circles of Care. We just don't have the capacity at this point in time. Also, I'm a part of the Dementia Friendly Wasco County partnership, and we have a memory cafe coming up tomorrow from 1:30 to 3 for those individuals who are living with dementia and their care partner, to provide a kind of a social time. They'll be at the St. Vincent de Paul the Ministry Center there on Pentland. So this will be our third memory cafe, and hoping to grow that program to serve at least between 6 and 10 individuals with their care partners. And then last week, I lost track, but last week they had the community conference. The Alzheimer's Association had a community conference that was very successful. I wasn't able to attend because I was in Atlanta, Georgia, for a family reunion, and which was a fascinating city. I would recommend it. Really enjoyed. Got to stop by and see the Ebenezer Baptist Church where Martin Luther King Jr. Used to preach, and got a tour of that, and also the Atlanta History Center, and learned more about the complicated history of the Civil War and Reconstruction and the Jim Crow laws that occurred after that. So it was a fascinating opportunity, and so glad to be back, and missed several community affair meetings, but I'm glad to be back and see Rob. I've always enjoyed listening to Rob, and especially since he's become such a star being on the Rural Light, that I was kind of shocked Rob, what are you doing on the rural light? But that was pretty cool. This trip back to DC. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Good to have you back, sir. David Peters.
Good morning, everybody. Dave Peters, Columbia Cascade Housing, McClumbia Housing Authority. We have 3 applications going in for the various things with the Housing Resource Center for down payment money in Washington for Klickitats community counties. Also, the majority of the funding needed for the Carson Community Land Trust model. We're going to do 14 homes in Carson over 3 years if we get funded. And also, I did notice just this last weekend, the state announced that the project for 76 homes, right where the DeHart's Market is here in the Dalles for a multifamily apartment building, that was funded for at least that portion. I'm sure there's many, many other needed funding sources, but that I'm sure was a big one to get. So that one's hopefully going to be moving forward.
That's very
That's
good.
it.
Dave, it'll be great to see that property put back into productive use. It's been vacant.
Right. Could really, I don't know if it rejuvenate that whole side, but it can certainly help.
Yeah, that's excellent. Roger Nichols.
Yes, Roger Nichols, freelance writer, radio producer, jack of all trades, master of none. But I really want to share with you that yesterday, also temporary interim Wasco County representative of the Gorge Commission. Yesterday, one of the best meetings in 20 years the Gorge Commission has had. The commissioners unanimously approved some sweeping changes to the management plan and put it on a fast track so that they can make it easier for people who are rebuilding after the fires on both sides of the river. And this is something where the Friends stood up for us. We got letters from the governor, from the LCDC sent in, which is the Land Conservation Development Commission, which is like the land use agency of the state. So we had all kinds of, and it just swept through. We're going to make sure where people can stay on the land longer. Right now, they could only be there temporarily 60 days out of a year. And we want to make that change. We want to give them up to maybe 7 or 8 years to file. Currently, it only says 2 before you can file to rebuild, and a whole bunch of other things along those lines. So I'm very proud of everyone. It really was great to be in a meeting where everybody was pulling to the same goal. We need to get back to more of that.
Including Friends of the Gorge.
Yes, absolutely. They made a statement up front saying that they supported this, but they wanted to make sure they had a seat at the table, which of course they will. Yeah.
I met with Kevin Gorman, I think it was last week. They are working with Columbia Gorge United Way on a fundraiser, bringing in their metropolitan membership base.
Oh, and I should plug one more thing in one of my other hats that I wear. You won't be able to see it. This is the fall fling for the Discovery Center, which is coming up on October 4th, this Saturday night. It's the 15th annual, and I will be giving away some of my coin hoard, including some bills worth over $1 million. German marks, 1921. But still.
Thank you, Roger. Fascinating. Okay, good. And thank you for going back on the Gorge Commission in that interim role. That's really promising news coming out of that meeting.
Yeah, very much so.
Good deal. Good deal. Leslie Naramore.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Leslie Naramore. I'm the Executive Director of Mid-Columbia Community Action Council. And I wanted to share, it sounds like there's lots of fundraisers coming up, but we have one for MCAC as well. It's called Our Housing Heroes. And that's going to be taking place October 6th in Hood River at the Ruins. And I'll drop a link in the chat for you all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Leslie. In addition to the link, any other information you'd like to include in the chat box on that one would be great. Awesome. Also, everyone, before I forget, remember the annual dinner, Chamber Recognition Dinner tonight, 5:30, at the, boy, I'm slipping, Readiness Center, I believe is the location, I hope.
I think that's right.
Yes, Readiness Center.
On that Readiness Center, thank you. All right, with that, I'm going to, per Rob's instruction, I'm going to start with a video, and then we're going to go into Rob Garrett's presentation on Mid-Columbia Senior Center. So I have to remember how to share my screen. And let's see. I gotta do it like this. Is everybody seeing my screen? To the outside of the senior center with the band, lower right-hand corner?
Yep.
Okay. Let's start the video.
Welcome to the Mid-Columbia Senior Center. Here we promote healthy aging by providing opportunities for all generations to explore, connect, and contribute. Located in the Dalles, Oregon, the Mid-Columbia Senior Center opened its doors in 1986, and ever since, there's always been something going on at the center. We have everything here, from games like Bingo and Peanut Ball, to events like concerts and parking lot sales, to services to help you live a full life. If you don't understand your Medicare benefits, we offer counseling to help make it clear. If you need medical equipment,
Uh-oh.
Oh, you froze up, Dan.
Oh, shoot. I'm still
Well, maybe
seeing
it's not going to work.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
The video's just
So
stuck.
the video is running, but I'm not picking up. Yeah.
That's okay. You know what we'll do? We'll fake it.
We'll
So
fake it? Okay.
yeah, you guys got a pretty good show of that video. It's actually another, maybe a minute and a half at most, not even that much. But anyway, as you guys are aware, I'm Rob Garrett, and thank you, Chamber and Dan, for hosting or allowing me to be on the show today. I really appreciate it. We do have a lot happening at the center, as that video was trying to show. And that video is some fruit from the trip I took to Washington, D.C., which most of you know about, as far as because Roger did a real good job of talking about that on that article in the Rule Light. They suggested that we do things like media and video and those kind of things at a couple of the meetings I was at, because it wanted to, well, it's asking me to confirm my language. There we go. Right in my face. Anyway, because that is something that younger people are interested in. Everyone wants to get on websites and on their phone, and we're trying to do that. And we're going to try to upgrade that video, or renew it, I guess I should say, once every quarter, or towards the fall, again at the first of the year, not exactly on a specific time. So if you have time, check out our website, midcolumbiaseniorcenter.com, and it comes right up on the front page like Dan had there, and you can just play it. It's actually kind of a fun video. The neat thing about it was I took it, and the people were in the building doing things and having a real good time, and it just shows in the video. So hopefully you can get a chance to see it live. But I guess first and foremost, the most important thing I want to talk about before I get too far into the weeds is, first off, this is National Senior Center Month. And that's one of the reasons I'm on the program today, is because I want to promote that. And that is something where it's, we celebrate senior centers across the whole United States. And just for what they do for our communities. I mean, they're in every town pretty much, lots of rural towns, obviously, even the smaller ones like Morrow and, you know, uh, places like Condon, and they have these little centers that go on. And of course, we're much bigger than that, but we still do very much the same kind of things as they do. As video talked, we do SHIBA counseling for senior health insurance benefits assistance. We have, that's Medicare, Medicaid, and those kind of things. We have tax aid in the wintertime. We have all kinds of programs and things that seniors need primarily. But then again, sometimes for tax aid, some people on lower incomes also need that help too. So that's a good example of that. And then I would be amiss if I did not talk about the medical equipment loan closet, which we provide a service to everybody in this community. Age is not a factor in that. Anybody from a high school student with a bum knee because he hurt it playing soccer to, our grandmothers who are 102 years old and need a walker or whatever. And just for numbers sake, so you guys can understand the impact we have on the loan closet. In July, we served 113 people out of that little room in the basement. I looked, I think August is 78, which is a little bit down. And the reason it's down is because we're actually running out of equipment to donate to people, because it's been going out so fast. As fast as a wheelchair comes in, that same day it goes back out. And we've already had some solid donations of cash to buy some things like wheelchairs. But as you probably imagine, $1,000 will buy out 1.5 wheelchair. That's how expensive new ones are. So I've got something going with Medical Teams International in Tigard, and they had a meeting yesterday. They haven't told me what they've decided, but they may be sending us some equipment, or I may be going to pick it up. 6 or 7 wheelchairs, 4 or 5 walkers, some knee scooters, just to get us back into stock and back into business, quote unquote. So, there are other people who support us in that way. Anyway, any donation towards the medical equipment would be appreciated. For example, if you happen to have an e-scooter or a walker or a wheelchair that you can get back, or you borrowed from us and you need to return, or know of somebody, please bring it in, because we're almost to the level of desperate to get people helped. And it's been such a good service over the years. Our average number on a normal month is probably 65, 70. When we hit these peaks of 113 or 96 or in that neighborhood, you can see how fast we get cleared out. So, and it's a big deal, and I really enjoy that ability to. In fact, it's heart-wrenching sometimes to see the way you get to help people. I can't go too much into it because sometimes it'll make me cry just thinking.
It's the hard one. It's just
I get sad. Oh, what's that sound? Dan, you're off.
Yeah, I don't know where that sound was coming from. Everybody is muted except you and me. I don't know feedback on my part. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
All right, no problem. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong, which is not impossible. Anyway, so the loan clause is an incredible fun and a great blessing for our community. So support that if you can. Now, the biggest reason I'm here today is that tomorrow night we have a dance, and it's called a Happy Days at the Center dance. It's at 5:30. The doors open tomorrow night. The music starts at 6. We're going to have live music with a real band, the River City Rhythm, will be playing here. And that's Mark Kendricks. Anyone know Mark Kendrick? Mark Kendrick has a band, 5-piece combo, and they're going to be playing music from the 50s and 60s and 70s. And I'm not going to make any promises, but I emailed Henry Winkler because it's a Happy Days theme, and I invited him, and I don't know if he's going to come or not. He has yet to respond, just for the record, but he may be here. You just don't know. I mean, these guys are superstars; they can do anything, right? So Henry Winkler may or may not be here. No guarantee. But I'd like to invite you all to come out. If you don't dance, that's fine. You can come out and enjoy a really good band. There'll be some finger food that Cherry Heights is going to offer. We have a no-host bar from Free Bridge Brewery, so there'll be a glass of beer or a glass of wine if you want one. And then, of course, there's the silent auction, which we have several very interesting items that will be up for auction for a fundraiser for the center. The admission to the dance is simply $5 bill. I mean, you can't even hardly go to Starbucks for that. So this is a great deal. You're going real cheap if you get under 5 at Starbucks. So, and Grocery Outlet is our major sponsor. Cody at Grocery Outlet's been more than supportive of the Mid-Columbia Senior Center since he's taken over. And I'm sure Grocery Outlet was before that too, but when Brian and Amy owned it. But now with Cody there, he's a good friend of mine, and it's wonderful to have his support. And so if you can support us tomorrow night, that would be great to see everyone here. It will be fun. I can guarantee you that. So things that we need, excuse me. One of the things that's going on is we've been working on our membership drive for a year now, and of course now we're into September. We finally topped the 300 mark. As of this week, we're at 336 members. We just recently received 20 new members from the Cherry Heights Living Community. And so 336 is a pretty good total. And it's very encouraging to see the building grow. Now, a lot of people ask me, and it's a good question, what do I get for my membership? And to be honest, there's not a lot of benefit except for a few small things. First thing you get is a discount on trips. We have our senior trips, which I'm going to talk about more here a little bit later. But the senior trips, we give a $5 discount for members. So if you go on, 7 trips, you've made your membership back. And we usually do 2 or 3 trips a month if we can get them in. Secondly, we give a discount for building use. If you need to rent the building, you get a discount of about $25 per hour on building rates for rental of the building when we have open space. People do rent it for memorials and such thing, and members get a discount. So that's kind of what we get. Plus, it makes it so much easier when I have a larger membership to write grants. The larger amount of people you serve, the more excited people are about letting you have money to help serve them. and it's kind of that benefit. So membership is up. It's really kind of fun. And we'll be starting our 2026 membership renewals coming in October. So if you aren't a member, I will give October, November, and December free if you sign up for 2026 starting in October in a few weeks here. So again, I hope to, if we're at 336 now, I hope to be over 350, maybe 375 this time next year. And that's kind of our goal, is to keep increasing the membership. So for Senior Center Month, National Senior Center Month, we're not getting too excited. We're doing a few small things. But the reason I'm not getting as excited, as Dan mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the Senior Center. The history of the Senior Center is this: where we sit right now on this lot was an empty lot. It was owned by St. Mary's and St. Peter's Catholic Parish across the street from us, and it was part of the road. When they put in the 9th or 10th Street Bridge, they put the road through and cut this lot off, and the land was donated, I believe, to the city. And if anyone knows that if I'm in error, correct me, I don't care. I'm not going to tell I'm going to die on, but this is the story I've heard and remember. Once that happened, it was donated to the city to use as a park or a facility to benefit the community. And I believe the city gave it to the Mid-Columbia Senior Center, would be a foundation, or the nucleus that was starting along with Meals on Wheels back in the early 80s. And then they proceeded to build this building. The building opened 40 years ago, almost, in 1986. I think their actually open dates sometime in January of 86. But since January is not a great month for fun stuff in the winter when it could be snowy, next year I hope to be huge in what we do out here in our parking lot and in our grounds and throughout the summer months, and having live music in the parking lot and barbecues and dances and just celebrate. In my dream, I'd like to see us get every member, or all 336 of our members, out here in the parking lot, get one of those giant pictures with all standing in the parking lot. But I'm not sure we could get all 336 in the parking lot because there wouldn't be enough parking. And I don't know if they would all show up on the same day anyway, but that would be my dream, hoping to do that. So some of the things that we do at the Mid-Columbia Senior Center, that are just probably under the radar, so to speak. One of the things is our new to use store. It's a little clothing thrift store that we have in the corner of the building on the northwest side, right by the flagpole, that area there. And we sell donated clothes at pennies on the dollar. You can go in and get a really nice, if you're a lady, a blouse or a shirt, slacks, dresses, everything in there. You'd be surprised. My thing about the new to you is make sure if you don't want it sold the new to you, don't leave it laying around the center, because they'll pick it up and sell it, and they'll sell it. They will. And it went from doing the first day or so, they did about $12 a day when they first opened, and I'm not sure. Scott may know when it opened. Scott, were you here when it actually opened? No.
It was already open when I came. Yeah. So I'm
So
not
that
sure
puts,
when.
yeah, so it puts it in the neighborhood of over 20 years old, or really in that neighborhood that they've been doing it. I mean, they've increased their sales. They're doing, sometimes they'll outdo our bingo as far as sales goes for take. And that's one of the fundraisers we have for the center that helps keep us open. And they have a staff of about 15 ladies who work in the store. They either sort in the basement, or they fold and they clean, or they work in the front just taking money and being cashiers and putting things away. Once a month they come in and they reset the store around the first of the month. So there's a whole lot of new items that haven't been there before. Not new in the sense that they're new to us, I guess you would say. Anyway, so it's a huge thing. So if you have donations, clothing, and I mean, I've seen somebody donated a Ken Griffey Jr. Plaque that was signed. It went for $60 in there. So I've seen things like that come right through the door and right back out. So we sold air conditioners, we've sold, table settings, we've sold jewelry. We'll sell, like I said, if it's not nailed down, we'll sell it. So if you have anything that you're not using, bring it in. The girls will take care of it, and they'll sell it, and they'll have a good time doing it. When I've got a pretty good list here. So if anyone has a question in the middle, I know if I don't get to ask my question right away, I'll forget it by the end of the day. So anyone has a question, raise your hand or whatever, and we'll stop and I'll answer the question if I can. So I don't want to go too fast. And I will run out of time if I'm not careful. Dan was right. So as you probably know, we have tons and tons of things, classes and activities. And we have the newest thing we just started is a Hispanic activities class, and they're doing it once a month on the first Friday of the month. And that is targeted towards Hispanic seniors who, I guess what I was explained to me is the culture is this, that the grandparents of Hispanic families tend to stay home and do the stuff at home while everyone else in the family works or goes to school. And so that kind of leaves a void where they don't have a lot of things to do. And so this is targeted through the next door to try and help these people have something fun to do. And they started it last week on Friday. And I think they had about 8 people come in, which is not huge, but I expect it to grow. That was their first time. But the goal is they're going to come in and do games and have activities, and it'll be just targeted towards that group. And I think that's a group that we need to touch, as it's a growing population in our community, and we like to make that open. And along that same note, we now have at least 3 bilingual Sheba counselors for the Medicare program. So that's another way we're offering to help. Plus, TaxAid also has bilingual people. So we're trying to meet the need of that growing population in our community. I think that's time well spent in doing that and going in that direction. And I'm kind of excited about it. We have a new thing we started yesterday morning as a choir. And they've had choirs in the past. I don't know how long ago, but the choir hasn't existed since I've been here. So we had 7 ladies, and the director is, excuse me, what is the director's name? I had him in grade school.
Steve Hodges.
Steve Hodges. Thank you, Corliss. I forgot his name. Anyway, Steve Hodges is our director. If you know Steve Hodges, he's a composer, a director, and he's a longtime, resident of the area. I mean, I had him in the 4th grade in 1974 when I was in Dufur at the school there. He taught me to play the flutophone. He's an accomplished musician. I believe he even did a little turn with Johnny Limbo and the Lugnuts when they first started in the early 70s. So he's fun to have here. He had those ladies singing in an hour. He had them singing beautifully. So we're going to have a concert at the later part of October. It'll feature a couple bands or a band and the choir and some violin players who take lessons here at the senior center. And we're going to have fun with that. It'll be kind of a fundraiser, but more a fundraiser than fundraiser. And as Scott briefly mentioned, the Harbor Respite Program that we just taken on, we received a grant from a dementia-friendly group. I've forgotten the name of the group that gives it. It's called CDRI grant. Anyway, the grant is provided us with a large 2-year operating grant to hire a coordinator and to help people to serve them who are taking care of people with dementia, their partners in that. And so the goal is once a week, they'd be able to come in, bring their loved one in, or the person they need to care for, and let them stay here. And we'll provide activities and things for them to do while that person gets a chance to go out and do some shopping or go to the doctor or, just walk down the street and take some air in. And that's something we hope to serve 6 to 8 people by 1st of January. We're going to have kind of a soft opening in October and November when we can get it done and start ramping it up so that, we kind of get our feet on the ground and see how it goes. We've hired a coordinator. That person's name is Danette Utley, and she's been my go-to person as far as she's doing all the real legwork. And we're really excited about doing that. It'll be every Wednesday from 1 to 5 in the basement downstairs. And it's not, you can't just come in and drop off. You'll have to apply and get accepted into the program. And there'll be some vetting or some determination of the eligibility for that. At this point, I don't believe we're charging for any of it. Right now, the grant's covering. Ultimately, we're hoping to get it involved so that people can use Medicare to pay for it or Medicaid to pay for it, and that will keep it funded. We've set it up towards that goal. And there's been a whole steering committee working on this. Scott's been part of that for several months, and the grant was awarded on July 1st, and now Senior Center is taking the ball and trying to run with it best we can. So we're pretty excited about that. So the other thing we have going that we've been doing now for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, is the senior trips. We are going to places like the Oregon Historical Museum, downtown Portland. We've gone to the Oregon Art Center, downtown Portland. It's the Portland Art Center, in downtown Portland. We've gone to the Boardman Museum is called. My goodness, my brain is foggy this morning. The Sage Museum in Boardman. We're going to the Japanese gardens. We're going to the Hood River Harvest Fest. We've gone to the High Desert Museum in Bend. And what we try to do with these trips is we take 11 people besides the driver, because the van holds 12. One of the board members or myself usually drives the van. And we charge basically, again, pennies on a dollar. We were renting a bus and it was getting to be so expensive, people couldn't afford to go. And then also have something to eat. We're able to run a trip. For example, we're going to a dahlia garden on Friday. It cost $12 per person to go to that, 17 for non-members. So you can see it's a cheap trip. We're paying for the fuel, paying to cover the gas, and we're actually coming out ahead when we fill up the van with people. And I got to tell you, those trips, they're just a lot of fun. We went to a trip in Tigard last spring. I guess it was in May or June. Anyway, it was called Battle of the Bandstands, and it was a theater production in a church in Tigard, and they did Dick Clark versus Lawrence Welk. What's going on with me? I need a knock in the head. Anyway, and it was just so much fun. It was very entertaining, and we just had a blast. And then we usually go someplace fun for lunch or dinner, depending on what time it is. And it's a good trip, and anyone's welcome to come on that. Again, we give members a discount. So, but if you're interested in a trip like that, come and see what we've got going. I have all the sign-up sheets at the desk.
Hey, Rob, there's a question
Yes.
for you right there.
Yeah.
Is there a minimum age to be a member of the senior center?
No, there's no minimum age to be a member of the senior center. However, to be a voting member of the senior center, you have to be 45. So 45. So a voting member means you can vote at the annual board meeting. You can nominate and elect board members, and you also get to approve the budget and any business that we have to do. You're eligible to do that. Anyone of any age, I would take a 2-year-old to be a member, but a voting member is 45.
Well, 45 is just a kid anyway.
It is to me. Well, we have a good diverse board. I think J.R. Frakes is on our board. He's probably our youngest. I think JR is like 48, 49, something like that. So it's good to have, and I'll tell everyone this. So what the senior center is doing right now is taking care of seniors. That's our primary goal. But we're foolish if we don't consider that those people who are in their 40s and their 30s, all these pre-generation X and Z and all the generations, the baby boomers are here now. I'm a baby boomer. I'm here. We have to think into the future to what these folks need and to get them on board with the driving force of the center and to make decisions that will affect long term. I believe in the 80s when they started this thing, that's what they were thinking then. They weren't thinking about what do we want now. We're thinking about what we want in 10 years or 20 years, and certainly in 40 years, it still applies. So I think our goal in getting younger members in is to get a younger thought in, to get the people who are here when they're in their 60s and 70s, have this be a place that they want to be. And that's that's why we're looking at 45 and up. And I think it's an important goal to have, because if we don't provide that in 40 years, this might not be here. Because why would we need it? We didn't invest in it. So if I can get a younger group to invest down the road, our great grandchildren might still have this ability to use this building. I think that's the goal. So good question, Dan. Thank you. So what am I looking at in the future? And I'm doing pretty good for time. Good. What I'd like to do, and what's going to be able to be done, I don't know. But our goal to start with, one of the other things I learned when I was in Washington, D.C. is physical activity is a big thing. As you saw when that video came up, we've got a pretty good exercise class called Strong Persons in the basement. They do that 3 days a week. And it usually runs 20, 25 people. On a big week, it'll be 30, and we don't have space. So that started me think they say that exercise is one of the important things to staying young and healthy and fit. And I would have to totally agree with that. And just activity too, of course. But so what we're looking to try and do, and we've got a survey crew on the site this last couple of weeks, making a survey of our lot, is I'm going to try and see if we can install a pickleball court. And where the horseshoe pit was up in the corner where sometimes they had gardens, that's our place to put it. And we'll make it open to the public somehow, I believe, maybe with a lock where you can rent the key. I'm not sure exactly how all that will work out. The first step is a survey to see if it can be done. We've already got that going. The next step would be architects and engineers to see if it can be done. And after we get to that point, we'll at that point probably spent near $40,000 just to find out if we can do it. And at that point, we're gonna, dive into a real heavy campaign for fundraising, and we're just gonna do it. And that'll bring a lot of younger people in again, as well as it can serve the whole entire population of the Dalles. Pickleball's the up and coming thing right now. I've not done it, but I've heard it's fun. So I'd be willing to give it a try. And then
Rob,
the
is
big picture. Yes, go ahead,
Tim
Dan.
McLaughlin part of that discussion?
Not yet. We'll get him in there though. Right
Okay.
now, we're just working towards finding out the survey. It's so I'm the kind of guy, guys, that I like my dessert now, and I'm having a hard time being patient. But what I'm learning is this is probably going to be the most patient producing thing I've ever done in my whole life, and just it's baby steps. Right now, we'll find out if it can be done, and then we'll move forward. I have talked to a couple of foundations. One of them was Roundhouse Foundation out of Sisters, and we've applied for a grant to help cover the costs of the survey. And I haven't received information back, but that's a likelihood we might get that. We'll see. That would help. Every little bit helps, and we'll be really pursuing it more when we're sure what we can do. Until we know, we kind of have to wait. But the big picture, guys, is this. Someday I would like to add on to the building, and this could be part of what we're doing now. The idea of making our building larger. If you look at our calendar or you see our parking lot, we're full. Oh my goodness, we're full. And someone will call me and say, "Hey, can I rent the dining room for a memorial?" And I'll say, "No, you can't here. No, you can't here. No, you can't there." There's just much more opportunity. What we'd like to do is expand the building out towards the parking lot without consuming parking lot space, because we can't give up parking, and make a area of 20 by 50, and maybe even a little larger than that, with maybe a second story out here on the parking lot side of the building, and expand into that and make a larger space. Now, that's the ultimate goal. I've talked to an architect about it, which is part of this whole process. And he's going to have to get some things, he's come and measured with a tape measure, and he's looked it over. We'll see what he says as far as whether it can be done. There's all kinds of retrofit issues with earthquake stuff, and this depends on how we proceed. But that is the overall goal that I would like to see happen before I leave the center, to make it bigger and more accepting and inviting for younger folks, and more open to the community for more community events like the Chamber Forum when we do the election forums, the candidates forum. So those are the things that's my big picture goal. And I imagine Scott had the same fears when he started talking about doing an elevator 15 years ago. It's like it seems daunting, but I think we have a good community behind us, a lot of support, not just financially, but people with a lot of knowledge. And I think that this stuff can be done. And so I'm kind of hesitant, but on the same hand, pretty excited about it at the same notion. So I think it's going to be fun. And everything at the senior center is fun. So why wouldn't this be fun? So one of there's things we do that just go on every day that I don't want to forget. There's things like the live music in the dining room. For example, today at 11 o'clock, Tom Graff will be here. He's a long time favorite of the senior center. He's played in bands in the Dalles area since the 60s. In the early 60s, he was playing with a guy named Floyd Farrell, who you may have heard of, they're still playing music all around the communities. And Tom will be here. There's music Monday, there's music Tuesday, there's music on Friday, and of course on Thursday every other week. So there's always something happening. There's Meals on Wheels lunch going on every day from noon to 12:30. $4 for 60 and over, $6 for 60 and younger, and it's open to everyone. You can just walk in and during that time and have a nice cafeteria style lunch. And I tell you, it's really good food. It's sometimes I smell it and I go, oh my goodness, smells delicious. It fills the building with that kind of stuff. Of course, there's other opportunities here. There's volunteer opportunities. Just for example, yesterday we had the whole First Interstate Bank crew come here and volunteer at the center. They closed the branch over here by Taco Time on 6th Street, and they do this. The whole First Interstate does this across the nation. People in Wyoming were doing this all the way as far as First Interstate covers. and they close their branches and they support a nonprofit in each little community. And there were 5 ladies here from First Interstate yesterday, and we refinished the cabinetry and the doors in the building with a restore finish product, and they put it on. They were here from 1 to almost 5, and they did all that. It was a lot of fun. It was good to see them support. First Interstate Bank has been quite a supporter of the Mid-Columbia Senior Center with several small grants and just things like that too. So I've got to, give a nod to them. They've really been on our team since this spring. And just those kind of volunteer opportunities are there. There's volunteer opportunities inside the center if you want to come in and work in here. There's bingo concessions, what Scott's still doing. There's working at the desk. There's working in the new DU. There's volunteering as a bingo caller. Yes.
Rob, I'm going to break in. We have a question from Phil, and it's going back on the
Perfect.
pickleball issue.
Oh,
the
great.
Dallas
Hi, Phil.
Pickleball Association. So in the chat box, is
Uh-oh.
Jeff Stiles and the Dallas Pickleball Association involved?
Not yet. And I don't know.
Rob?
Nobody's
Okay.
been involved yet because we're just getting it underway to see if it happens. So
Just doing
in
a
fact,
survey. Just doing a survey at this point, Phil.
yeah, we're just trying to figure it out.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
hi, Phil. All right. Yeah. So Phil, we're just doing a survey right now physically to make sure it can be done here before we take too many steps forward. And so we're trying not to invest money that won't ever happen. So right now we're looking at a survey to see if it's going to be okay to do that from an engineering firm.
Jeff Stiles and the Pickleball Association came before the county court requesting that we invest in using Kramer Field. So they will be very interested in the results of the survey. And if you want to get some community support, I can get you in touch with them.
Okay, I will do that, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Good to know.
Yeah. You see, that's exactly what I mean when there's a lot of things going on in this community that just go back and forth. I mean, we just all hooked up together. It's kind of a cool place to be. I mean, the senior center is just one of those things, but as Phil mentioned, there's other things, entities that are going on. It's pretty encouraging when one pulls in with another and we get something done. And that's kind of just the wonderful part about living in a small town like the Dalles, I think. So anyway, lots of things we do here that are tons of fun. I don't want to consume everybody's morning with just silliness, but you are welcome to be here. Enjoy the facility. One way you can donate is to bring your empty bottles and cans in. We'll put them in blue bags and take them to Fred Meyer. We're doing about $300 a month in cans and bottles. We just get a check from Bottle Drop. It's a very simple process. It's very clean. If you don't like going over and doing it yourself, or you don't want to go, put them in at Safeway or Buy Mart, and you don't have the Bottle Drop program on your thing, bring them to us. We'll take it in, and it's every 10 cents you give is 10 cents to us. They don't take a cut out of it or anything. It goes right to us. And it's really fun to be able to get on the website for Bottle Drop and click send me a check. And here's a check for $280 in 2 or 3 days. So it's kind of a fun fundraiser. Yes, Scott.
And Robert, being how there may be other businesses that will be looking at this video, how can a business become a sponsor of the Mid-Columbia Senior Center?
Yes, we have business sponsors. Right now we have 18, and I can't list them all, but it ranges from Oregon Equipment to Spookies and Cascade Motors to insurance agencies in town here. And so I usually go around the first of the year and talk to businesses in town about business sponsorship. We're just charging $200 for a business sponsorship, and it's a $200 donation. Sometimes businesses will give more. I've seen them give as much as $500 or $600 because they think $200 is too small. But I kind of err on the side of I'd rather ask for a little and get a lot than ask for a lot and get a little. So business sponsorships are huge at the Mid-Columbia Senior Center. I think there's 18 right now, $200 a pop. That's not a bad little check to get, $3,600 like that. Plus, like I said, there's some gravy on top of that, which is kind of sweet. And we typically have the same sponsors every year. And if you're interested in being a sponsor, you can be a business sponsor as an individual to offer more than just a membership. But we we love our business sponsors. And, you know, like Cody over at Grocery Outlet, Cody has probably given us well more than a $200 business sponsor just in a standstill alone. So I make him a business sponsor based upon those kind of things too. Or if you come and you bring a service, once in a while, I'll have a contractor who'll come in and do some work for me for free. I'll make them a business sponsor, especially if they, you know, it would have cost $1,000 to have them dig that hole. I'll give them a business sponsor just because they've earned it by just donating their time. So it's just kind of fun to have a community like this.
Rob, I've got a couple of questions, but I want to defer to people around the table to see if I want to leave time for questions in the discussion. I also want to leave time for Commissioner Brady to give any updates on Wasco County. But questions for Rob on Senior Center? Scott.
Just one more thing is a Saturday night bingo is a major fundraiser for the senior center. And once in a while I tell people that the payout over, at least when I was doing it, over $1,200 goes out every night to the bingo players as a winnings, and people are totally surprised. They don't realize how much money can be won at bingo. And so I just encourage folks to participate in bingo. In fact, I just read someplace that bingo could be a good exercise for your brain also. So besides supporting the senior center, you could be also helping your cognitive abilities.
It's really a cool thing to have Scott on as my backup because he remembers things that I've forgotten, like bingo. Thank you, Scott, very much. So bingo is huge and a lot of fun too. Up to 50, 60 people come every night for bingo when it's on. That's around the normal count.
And
So,
one
Any
other
other-
thing is, don't think it's just older people. You know, a lot of times you think, take your grandma, get your grandma off the street, take her to bingo. But it's a young crowd. You even have kids who participate. So it's a very diverse group, age-wise.
And the truth is, it doesn't cost much to play. If you just want to play one game each, I think you can get in for about $25, maybe 30 at the most, depending on how many cards you buy. And the odds of winning, of course, go up if you buy more cards, but you could win with one card, the grand prize. And I think it's $800 this Saturday. It might be $850. Can't remember. I looked at it the other day to see what I always kind of track it because when it gets up to 1,000, bingo concessions go nuts because we'll have 60 or 70 people when it stays at 1,000 for a while. Because $1,000 is a good grand prize. So,
Rob, a couple of questions.
Sure.
One, I haven't heard about the gun range down there. I know that's a different organization. And two, from a city perspective, strategically, you talk about the building expansion. Any discussion about connecting, and it doesn't go that far yet, but connecting with the Mill Creek Greenway?
The only discussion I've had is I've been in a couple of these meetings where I felt like that's something I'd like to have come clear to the center because I mean I could see down the road, we could do something like rent e-bikes. Wouldn't it be fun to have an e-bike you could rent at the center and drive out to Taylor Lake and back? I mean,
Right.
that would be my long range goal, but I haven't heard anything new as far as how long. Of course, I've been a little bit out of circulation. I've been busy on Thursday mornings, so I haven't been to a lot of these meetings, but that would be something I would be very interested in seeing happen. As far as oh yes, thank you, Corliss. As far as the gun range, we had a leak in the basement, so we're having the ceiling repaired. We had a sprinkler came loose and leaked in the ceiling, so we're having that repaired. Gun range is pretty busy. They've got classes. You have to check on Columbia Gorge Community College who sponsors a lot of their classes, and there's a schedule. I don't have it right at my fingertips, but I know that starting in mid-September, they're going to be several safety classes a couple days a week and through October into November. So those things you can sign up through the Columbia Gorge Community College, I believe. And if enough people don't sign up, they don't hold the class, but I'm not sure what their minimum is. But the gun club, the rifle and pistol club is thriving. And then Corliss brought up something which I need to talk about before we get off. We're hosting the Morning Buzz on September 23rd here, which is Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. Is that week after next, I believe. And so people from the chamber all be here, of course, as well as hopefully all you guys. And that's a lot of fun. So don't forget the Morning Buzz. It's right here on
Tuesday
on the
Tuesday
slide.
the 21st.
It's the 23rd, Corliss. Yep.
Oh, the
I got
23rd?
that.
Okay,
23rd.
got it.
Tuesday the 23rd, 7:30 here in the senior center.
We have a question from Dave.
Well, just
Yes.
gonna some information about the gun range. They have a class scheduled through the college, handgun safety. The middle Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, two in a row in October. There's a 1 day kind of like a Eddie Eagle program type of like just a short one about if you have a gun in your house, you don't know what you're doing with it. If you're an adult, it's like a 2 hour class. There's also a women's only class scheduled in early November. So yeah, I think most, like Rob said, most if not all are through the college. They register through them. Also, I think you can now register directly with the senior center. And then I think Rob gets a little bit of money for the senior center, and it not to screw the college over, but then that way they get a little bit of money and it's registered that way. But yeah, we've been averaging, I would guess, at least like 6 to 8 people pretty much 4 times a year for the handgun safety class.
Yeah.
No,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
reminding me. Yeah, there is a sign up sheet on the desk for these classes. I just remembered that Tim had sent that over to me, or Kevin had sent that over to me. So I forgot about it. Yeah, it's on the desk. There is a sign up sheet. So,
Great.
and I think the deal is that the senior center members get a 10% discount or something like that, or a small discount. So if they want to be participating.
So I want to check in with Phil from a county perspective. Rob, fantastic information. Wow, all the activities taking place. Other questions for Rob? Boy, Rob, you covered a
Thank you
lot of
very
ground
much.
there, sir.
Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Let's turn it over to Commissioner Brady. Updates from Wasco County.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. It is amazing what goes on in the senior center. With Wasco County, our last county commission meeting last week, I'm going to be a little bit vague about this, but we gave a consensus support to have the county find a way to help the Basalt Commons project move forward. So it's still has life. We see a value in it. The city manager and city mayor came expressing their strong support for the project, and the county is looking ways to also help keep moving forward. We're going to come back with a concrete proposal, and at that time I could be more clear about what that support would look like. Another quick thing, there's been a buzz in town about Portland Harbor Superfund material dredgings from the Willamette River coming to the Dallas landfill. I went to a meeting in Portland last night and want to calm things down. Our landfill does not take toxic waste. It's not certified for that. So the toxic components of there can't come here. We might get low-level toxic waste, but they're thinking about 3 different options: Wasco County landfill, the landfill in Arlington, and the other one across the river, Roosevelt. I presented and talked about the dangerous curves on Highway 197, in particular, the curve where trucks have to enter off 5 Mile road. So it was timely information for me to give to them, because they're going to be starting to make decisions about transportation, be it by rail, by truck, or by barge. That's I think that's a quick summary.
Okay, fascinating. Thank you, Phil. Turn it back over to Rob. Rob, any further closing thoughts on the senior center?
No, I mean, this place is just amazing, and I am so blessed to be able to be the employee here who gets to enjoy this. I mean, in my career I had before this, many of you know what it was in the bread business. I had nothing like this. This is so much. I jokingly say there's no emergencies at the senior center. If there are, we'll call 911 and I won't have to deal with it. But the truth is, this is a fun place to be. It's fun to be a member. It's fun to be an employee. It's fun to come and visit. I think it is probably one of the highlights of the Dalles. If I wouldn't make this a visitor center by any means, but I think it's worthy of the attention it gets because it's been founded so well from so many years. We have such an excellent board. We've had excellent leadership and guys like Scott and before him. And what we've got going into the future, I'm honestly very excited about it. And like I said, I'm apprehensive because it's a big chunk of stuff to bite off. But I think with the support of the community and my board and everything that's going on, you know, I think it'll be great. And one last thing, come kick up your heels tomorrow night, because without people at dances at the senior center, dances at the senior center won't exist. You got to have it. You got to support it. So anyway, thank you everyone for listening to me. I love this job, and thank you for letting me talk about it. So have a great day.
Rob, thank you very much. Thank you for the time, everyone. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity for networking. I think it's an opportunity to bounce ideas back and forth. As you have ideas that you'd like to see going into depth on these things, let me know. We'll get it on the schedule. So in the meantime, I'll give you a couple of minutes back to your day. And remember the awards banquet tonight, 5:30. Everyone, take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.